to their
Yep.
television. It'd be a lot easier if you just showed up with one, and they're going to really appreciate that too, because having
Yep.
to deal with the sales clerks who aren't sure. Some a lot of times the people that work at those places, it's technology stores, but sometimes they're just not very technical people. They're cashiers sometimes, and sometimes you get some good ones. So don't get me wrong, I do like
Right.
my Radio Shack people. There's some good ones there for sure.
But one of the big ones with home users is that it's just really just connecting the computer to the TV. I know I saw this a lot when I worked at Best Buy, and it's easy money because it's very simple for you to do because you know how to do it. It's quick. Um, you can have a set price for it. Maybe you charge $50 to connect a computer to a TV, and you're out in 20 minutes. It's great money, but just about everybody secretly really wants to do it because those there's a certain group of people that don't really know how to use the technology, but they really want a TV that's a 50 or a 65-inch TV so they can put it up on their wall and it looks beautiful. But you know now they want to hook up their computer to it because it gives them just something really awesome and huge to look at their computer on and check their email. Even if they want to putz around on Facebook, lots of people want to do it, and you can make a killing just hooking it up for them. But
Yeah. Then once you get in their basement and you see their setup, you can determine whether they're going to afford the Harmony, one remote that you got, to sell them
yep,
to, that turns their computer and everything on with one button, and that's a
yeah,
whole other thing there too. To get, I really would like to expand into that too, because I really think there's a lot of people struggling with five remotes and get confused when they get so much stuff hooked up. But yeah, those Harmonies are nice.
yeah, because then you expand into the home theater because you've already hooked up their computer to the TV. Now they want to learn how to use it. They want to learn more about the stereo system that they just bought. The Geek Squad offers all these kind of services, but you can too. I mean, they're making money on it. Why can't you? It's a you know People will pay a lot of money for a good home theater system, and they don't want to do that if they don't have anybody to hook it up for them and show them how to use it. They just want to start watching movies and have it be awesome, but they can't do that if they don't know how to hook it up. That's where you come in. But
Yeah. And so far, right now, I suppose it's okay. Xbox has come a long way there with
mhm,
content, and things like that. Maybe it'll be a lot more simpler sooner, but it's right now it's still not really super simple. I remember hooking up TVs to Pentium 2s, and it was a whole different thing back then. I wish somebody would have showed me how to do that. I probably spent a month trying to get my first, thing working like that. It was crazy, and then the video quality was always horrible, back
oh
then
yeah.
too. You got 10 gigabyte hard drive and everything's slow, and
Yep.
yeah, it was fun.
But then, I mean, let's say you're at a business client of yours. You can talk to them about their home technology needs. It's just a conversation piece. If you're on your way out the door and you're like, oh well, especially if you've built a relationship with this client, you can show them a picture of your home setup and say, hey, look what I just bought. And they're like, oh yeah, I've been wanting to get a TV like that, or I've wanted to get a home theater system like that for a long time, but I don't know how to hook it up. Oh, well, that's when you offer your services. Um,
Yep.
if you're just looking at their business, you can develop, if you're familiar enough with the industry, anyways, you can develop ways for them to streamline their business, streamline their workflow. I know a lot of medical clients are trying to do that nowadays with all the regulations and rules that the government's imposing. But um, streamlining their workflow is going to make them money, and it's going to make you money because the more profitable they are, the more profitable you're going to be as their workflow increases. If they streamline their workflow, they can become more busy themselves, and then their technology requirements increase, and you're there to support that.
What
Um,
what kind of examples do you think of when you say streamline the workflow? What
um,
kind of things?
actually, I've talked to a couple different clients that utilize cloud services just because it's great for collaboration. There's no waiting on one person. Um, you know, communication is extremely quick, and therefore they're able to get more work done. You know, whether it be Dropbox or hosted email services or whatnot. The more that they can do to minimize the amount of time that they have to wait on communication. Um, eh, if they can increase their turnaround time, depending on the industry, obviously, if they can increase their turnaround time, they can do more work. They can take on more clients. The more clients they take on, the busier obviously they're going to get. But then you can start offering more technology services, whether it be cloud services or more hardware, newer hardware, and then you start supporting them on tablets. Um, you know, that kind of goes back to familiarizing yourself with the different hardware. The more familiar you are with mobile technology nowadays, the more profitable you're going to be because there's so many people that are trying to implement mobile technology, and if you don't know how to support it, chances are they're probably not going to be a client of yours for very long because
Right.
if they don't know how to use it, they need to find somebody that does real quick. Um,
Yeah, and the cell
but
phone company's not going to be the one usually to help them out there either. And
no,
they'll sell
no,
them the cell phone, and they'll say, "Here you go," and but then they get it back, and they're like, "Well, this don't do my email."
right, exactly, exactly. But the more you familiarize yourself with that equipment, and the more you familiarize yourself with their business, actually, the more you're going to become their one-stop shop.
Yeah. Yep.
And
I
in the end, that's really what you want to do. As
to go
as
back a
they've
little.
become, yep, sorry.
Oh, no, that's all right. To go back with it too. Also, when you're talking to some of the people, you might be able to pick up where someone has left off a lot of times too, where they have maybe had somebody come set something up and it doesn't
Hmm.
quite work right. Just by talking to them there, you can kind of clean up the pieces of left behind parts and bring it all together as one. And you can if you're the one person who brings it all together for them, rather than having this little broken part over here that Joe did, that they've never really used now because it kind of works, but nobody likes to touch it. And
Right.
if you can be, you can take care of all that, man. You're like super guy. That's,
Yeah. Yep. Exactly.
I'm sorry. Go
Exactly.
ahead. Yeah.
But I mean, the more dependent that they become on technology, and the more that you can support them through all of that, the more they're going to depend on you. And that's in the end, in the end, that's really what you want because then they're going to be a good client of yours. You're always going to support them, and they're always going to pay your bills.
Yeah.
But this is kind of going sideways a little bit to my next topic here is just talking about virus removals, and this plays into a lot of different topics that I'm sure we could go on for hours and hours about. But yeah, in virus
Now,
removals, oh, sorry.
I just had a quick question. Now, you said you worked at the Geek Squad. Did they have certain virus removal tools that you could use and certain ones you couldn't, or did you kind of take things to yourself on how you went about removals at a big corporation type tech place like that?
For licensing reasons, they were extremely strict about what we could use. They developed actually their own offering of software. It's just a big compilation of software that they had that if we needed to fix a computer, that's what we used. So if it wasn't on that disk, essentially we couldn't use it. Um, you know, of course, the last result is to just nuke and pave, but um,
Does that happen a lot in a place in an environment like that?
well, it, yes and no, depending on the situation. As far as virus removals are concerned, I did see that a lot You know, if the client didn't have any important data that they needed to save, it was the easiest route, just because, you know, you can sit there watching scans run for hours, or you can just reload it. You know,
Yeah.
starting from scratch is always the safest route, but you know, if they have important data, then you have to seek alternative routes. But um, they were very, very strict about what we could use. Um,
I
you
guess
know,
this
with
is kind of a box that maybe I put myself in, or we as techs put ourselves in, and we kind of look at the nuke and pave as being the easy way around it. And we're craftsmen, we've got a talent here that we don't have, that we're not gonna just do that. We're gonna fight these viruses and
right,
win,
right.
I that's just, I don't know. Maybe we shouldn't loosen up a little bit, but I don't think so.
Well, I mean, it's not always the best route, because especially with a lot of the virus infections that you find nowadays. Um, you know, if I were to give anybody advice about virus removals, I would say familiarize yourself with the Windows registry as much as possible. Familiarize yourself with the structure of Windows as much as possible. You know, whether it be folder structure or the actual structure of the operating system, the way that it operates. Um, the more that you can focus on manual removals, the more efficient that you're going to be. You know, if you know the ins and outs of the operating systems, you can generally fix a virus removal pretty quick. Um, Generally, what I find is that the virus removals that I encounter are very localized. They're located in the user profiles. Nowadays, though, you do find a lot more rootkits, um, especially in the MBR. And you know, TDSS Killer is a great tool. I know if you look on internet forums, they use GMER a lot, GMER, I believe.
Yeah.
Um, that's a big one, but I use TDSS Killer a lot, and usually that does the trick for a lot of them. Um, you know, if you don't necessarily want to babysit the system a lot, you can either focus on bootable virus CDs to run offline scans, or you can run online scans through the web browser. Um, Generally, as a last resort, if I'm still having an issue after I've you know manually removed some viruses and done a couple good scans, and I'll just go online and run some online scans just to be sure.
Hmm.
You know, Panda has their active scan online. There's tools that you can download from Trend Micro. You can get the Norton Power Eraser. I don't really know how good that one is, but you know, I know a lot of people like to use bootable virus CDs right off the bat. You know, they don't even want to mess with a manual removal. They'll just shut down the computer, reboot it, put in
Hmm.
a bootable virus CD, run some scans, walk away from it, come back a couple hours later, and you know, clean up the registry after that. You know, remove any startup entries that it may have missed in the scans. Um, you know, run updates and generally clean up the system. And it's a great way to go if you have the time. But usually, if you're providing remote support or you're on site, it's not necessarily a great way to go. You know, just because it takes so long. Um, Myself,
Right.
I tend to make use of hijack this a lot. I use auto runs and some of the other sysinternals tools. For some of the really nasty infections, I use combo fix. It just some people might put it down. Some people, you know, they're all about it, but I've never seen it not work.
Was it
And
combo fix?
yep,
Yeah, I use it sometimes. I can't say it's my go-to tool. But yeah, it seems to work when
it's
I've used it.
it's not a great program to use as your go-to. Uh, you should really rely on your own knowledge, but for some of the really nasty infections, uh, it's a great tool to use. You really have to be familiar with it. You know, they don't have any official support online for it for very obvious reasons, but that, you know, if you're part of an internet community that provides malware training, malware